Hey there, it's Dana from Php here, and in today's video we will discuss about the most unpleasant part when it comes to managing a website, and that's hosting and PHP requirements. We all already know the fact that having a good hosting is just vital for the good performance of your website. Your hosting will influence whether your dashboard will load fast or not, whether your viewers will be able to actually manage and navigate through your website without having to wait a lot of time for the pages to be fully loaded. But other from that, there are also specific PHP requirements values that we will discuss about today that influence whether your website will be down, whether you'll have fatal errors when you try to, activate a plugin or make several changes. So these are some settings that not everyone is aware of, and I will just try to explain them so that everyone understands which value and what is responsible for. And I will just show you live right now based on SiteGround, because I know that most of you guys use SiteGround for your hosting. So we will just do that. The process might be different for a different hosting, but I think you can find information on their platform how to make these changes, because the values are universal. Why would you need to do this? First off, these are like some protection measures that you need to take in order to be sure that your server will be able to allocate enough resources for your website and plugins to run smoothly without any issues. So this really depends. For example, if you have a more simpler theme, like let's say 2020, the default theme that comes with WordPress, then of course you do not need these values to be high, because that theme does not need a lot of resources to operate. But if you have, for example, a more complex theme with a page builder like ours, or if you have a lot of plugins and a lot of features, then indeed you need to just be more careful when it comes to the PHP configuration. So right now what we'll do, we'll just go ahead to SiteGround PHP Manager, and I will just explain which value, what is it for, and how can we change it. So I have also some notes here just to be sure that we do not forget anything. So of course we have this table in here with the minimum values and the recommended values. The minimum values will be the one that will be given by the hosting by default. If you have a better hosting, let's say like SiteGround, they will just give you the minimum value will be enough, might be enough to run a full theme. But if you have a smaller or cheaper or a local hosting, then in that case they will not allocate so many resources for your website, and you just need to go and make the changes directly. So basically, once you logged into your SiteGround or hosting, SiteGround has this option in here under Devs PHP Manager, and this is the area that we'll work with. So we have here PHP variables, and I will just load them all to be sure that I have access to everything that I need. Just 1 second. You can see there are quite a lot. So basically this is my whole list, and we'll work with this. We will start with the memory limit. The memory limit represents how much memory a script can take from your hosting to be run successfully. So for example, let's assume you want to activate a theme or install a plugin or do import-export from your website. This is where the memory limit is being used, and if you do not have enough memory to run the script, you'll receive a fatal error, you receive a blank website, a website is down. So if you have these issues, and for example, if you try to activate a plugin and then everything crashes, or you just have a lot of errors on your screen, then what I need to do is just to go to your hosting and be sure that your memory limit is set to the recommended value, which is 256 megabytes. So also here, this is dependent on how many functions you have on your themes, on your website, like how many plugins do you use, how much resources do they require, how complex is your theme. What I'll do, I'll just go to Site Tools, and the easiest way for me will be just to find in here. So I see that for SiteGround, the default value was set to 768 megabytes. This is a lot. You can either change it to 256, but if it's already set to a higher value, that's even better for you. And also, there are some limitations when it comes to the hosting. For example, they will not give me access to edit change this value. I can change, for example, the disable functions value, but I cannot change the memory limit. And this is just a limitation that comes from SiteGround. So if you see that this value is more than the recommended one and it works just fine, then you don't really need to request to change it. You can leave it as it is. Next, we'll go to the next value, which is upload max file size. So the minimum value here is 10 megabytes, but the recommended value depends on your needs. So if you're just a photographer, you need to think, all right, what file, like what is the size of a file that I need to add on a daily basis? Of course, if you are a videographer and you actually host your videos, this value will be way bigger than for a photographer. Also, the file size here, this also includes the theme file and plugins and so on. So we would recommend to have it to 20 megabytes, but you can have it again bigger depending on your needs. So what I'll do again, I'll just copy this value right here, go back to SiteGround, and I see that again, SiteGround was generous with me for this website and they just give me 128 megabytes, and then this is okay. Of course, I cannot change this right now, but you can just go ahead and contact them and just ask them for the permission to change these values, or you can just ask them to change these values for you. You just need to let them know what's the value that you need. The next one is post max size. All right, so when it comes to the post max size value, this is actually the resources that are allocated to operate with the content that you just uploaded. So, for example, you added an image, but then you actually need to use this image in a specific part of your website. This is where the post max size value comes in, and we usually do recommend to have it a bit bigger than the value for the upload file size. But as you can see here, 128 megabytes is again exceeds the one that we need, so it's okay. They will be like the same in this case. All right. The next one is the max execution time. So again, I will search this one in here. I cannot change it as well, but I can at least check if this is the value that I need or not. So as you can see in here, I need 300, but my value is set to 120. So this would be a case when I would just go to SiteGround and kindly ask them to increase the value. So the max execution time is like how many seconds a script can be run until it will stop. The next one is the max input vars. Let me just search this one as well. Vars. All right. So usually most hostings will have this set to 1,000 or 3,000. So actually SiteGround is giving me the access to edit this value, and I will just set this one to 20,000. This is a lot, to be honest, but to explain what is this exactly. So basically each element that you have, let's say a title, an information, like the text, color, and stuff like this, these are all like variables. And this value just explains how many variables can be used at the same time for a specific function. So if this value will not be enough, for example, you can work a lot on making a lot of changes on one page, and then after you'll actually save it, you will see that not all changes have been implemented. Another scenario will be, for example, when you have 20 or 30 blocks on your website, but then not all of them are being displayed. This means that the max input vars is not enough and you just need to increase it. All right, so this is just one way of changing the values. As you can see in here, with the package that I have on SiteGround, I had more than I needed, though there will be specific hostings that will not have the PHP manager. And in this case, there's another way of how you can change these values. So what we'll do, we'll go to our file manager, and then in here we'll go to public HTML. And then I will just search for the vpconfig PHP file. So this is what we'll need. I'll just open this one. And then in here, I will just search for debug. All right, so underneath this, I will just add my values. I'll go back in here and I will just copy this line like this. And then underneath that, I will just go and take for example, the upload max size and so on. And I will basically do this for all the values that I need to be changed. You'll have all of this information separately, so you don't really need to worry about copying this text right now. But basically, after you added all your values, you're just going to go ahead and save the file. For now, I will just go and change it back to how it was, because I already set everything under PHP Manager. There will be again some cases, for example, when your host will not give you access to change the VP config file, and your hosting will also not have a PHP Manager. So in this case, there is a third alternative, and this is that under your public HTML file, you will have here this file called php.ini. If you do not have it, you can just add a new file in here, call it like this, and then you just confirm it. So in here, what you'll do, you'll add the value, the directive that you need, the requirement, and then the value that you need. So for example, let me just take this one in here. I'll just take and save this one like this, and then you'd be good to go. So one more time, I will just delete everything to have everything clean. And once you already implemented and changed these values, the next step is to actually check that what we changed right now will be implemented on your website. Alright, so in order to check your PHP configuration, we'll just go to public, like to your website, and then public HTML, and inside here we'll create a new file called phpinfo.php, like this, and then I will just add this quickly. 1 second. I will just delete the space quickly. All right, and the next step would be to just access my URL and then add at the end phpinfo.php. So you're accessing right now this file that we just created that displays all the information about your PHP configuration. So let's assume that I want to check now if my max input vars value is set to 20,000 as we did previously. So check. Here we go. If I'll check my max execution time, it's set to 120 seconds, again, the values that we had in our PHP Manager. So this would be basically the whole process of how to make sure that your PHP requirements are met and that your website will have enough resources. So if you encountered any issues throughout the process, what we'd recommend to do would be first to make sure that, of course, you respected all the steps shown in the video. Secondly, you can either contact us directly, or better would be to contact your host and see if you have the permission, for example, to change the config file, or maybe they can simply upgrade and change the values for you. So guys, that's everything for today. I hope it was useful for you, and if you have any questions, just feel free to let us know. We are here to help you out.